Ramble number 4, I think, maybe 3. I'm losing track of time. Speaking of time, this is the earliest I've ever recorded a ramble, so my insomniacs out there, don't get mad at me because this video is going to be out before 2 a.m. I'm sorry, but it's the Lakers were destroying the Trailblazers. Usually I wait till the games are done before I start rambling, but there's nothing. I mean, something dramatic would have to happen in this fourth quarter for the Trailblazers to even sniff this lead. So shout out to the Lakers for coming out and dominating like we know they could. Shout out to Anthony Davis for looking like he wanted to play basketball today. Beautiful. Shout out to KCP. KCP hitting his shots. He heard what y'all said about that 1-point game, and he came to play. Danny Green still struggled, if I'm not mistaken, but maybe as I'm talking, he just hit six threes in a row or something. I don't know. Anyway, y'all know that a ramble was coming today because today was a very important day for the other teams that aren't in the bubble. Because these is for the bad teams, the teams that didn't make the playoffs. It was the lottery day. It was lottery day, and it was surrounded by basketball. I love the schedule right now, y'all. I love the schedule. We're like, no matter what, you're gonna have hoops, or you're gonna have some important things that deal with the hoops, and that is the lottery. So I went live on Twitch. I hit like an all-time high in views as far as my personal channel. I think we were like 10,000 at its peak, which is a huge W. Shout out to everybody that was in there. And as you know, my Bulls jumped up, man. They jumped up. I literally. This is how, in like, what's the word? Unhealthy it is of me loving the Bulls. I literally had a dream last night about the draft lottery, and we fell to 9, and it was like the biggest nightmare of all time. It really was. But look at where we at now, baby. 4th overall pick. Now, I'm not going to talk too much about the Bulls because I understand everybody here doesn't care about the Bulls. But give me 3 minutes to talk about things, and then I'll move on to some other teams in the lottery, and then I do want to talk about the 76ers pretty extensively. Ramble about them. You get it. So my 3 minutes for the Bulls starts now. All right. So we jump up to the 4th overall pick. Beautiful thing. The last month or so as a Bulls fan has been legendary for me personally. We get a new general manager. I guess that happened a few months ago. But let's just say the last couple months have been great. We get a new guy up top. We fired the guys that have been terrible. We get a new general manager. We fire Jim Boylan. We don't know what our coaching situation is going to look like, but that's a good thing. The Bulls hit me up. They followed me on Twitter. They just put me in a promo. They put my video of me reacting to the 4th overall pick in the promo video. W's. So being a Bulls fan has been great as of recently, and now we jump up to the 4th overall pick. To answer the question that I've been asked a lot since it's happened, Kenny, who do you want to take at the 4th overall pick? I'm going to preface this. I am nowhere near an expert at international ball or in college ball. I recognize a lot of the names up top because it's my job right now, but I can't tell you what the 12th player in the draft, what he's good at, what he's bad at, right? I usually wait until after the lottery till I start to research a lot of these prospects. So that stuff starts today now that I start to really think about these prospects. But beforehand, what my favorite guy in the draft so far has been Denny Abdia, which is funny enough because I had his teammate, Amari Stoudemire, on my show, and I asked him about Denny. I said, is he ready? That was basically what I was asking. My team, my Chicago boys are in the lottery. Is Denny ready? And Amari's like, is he ready? I made sure he was ready. I got him ready for NBA ball, and he's a real deal. I was like, okay, of course he's going to say that because they're teammates. They just won a championship together. But when I watch his highlights and I watch his film, I can see us taking him at number 4. That's my opinion today on draft night. On lottery night. And once I do research on some of the surrounding prospects, maybe that changes. But right now, I am a fan of Denny Abdia. And I do think that should be the route we take at the moment. Now, we have a very smart guy at the helm of the things. Carney Chauvas has said that a few things. Oh, my God, I'm almost out of time. He said a few things. A, the phone is going to be ringing off the hook for trades, and he's going to answer every single call. That's a W. Just because we have the 4th overall pick doesn't mean we shouldn't look to trade it if the right thing happens. 2, he said something that made me smile so hard. He said, we're going to take the best guy available. Now, a lot of teams fall into this trap when they're a rebuilding team or a team that's not so good and they try to draft for fit. But bro, why are you drafting for fit when you don't have a star right now? The Bulls don't have a star. So if the best guy available happens to be a shooting guard, even though our best player is currently a shooting guard, don't be afraid to draft that shooting guard because maybe the new shooting guard may be better than the old shooting guard, and boom, you got a star. I would hate for us to pass on somebody because, we need a small forward. We can get a small forward free agency to hold the placeholder until we find the real small forward. Always draft the best guy available. Always. Well, I wouldn't say always. If you're a bad team and you don't have a star, draft the best guy available and let the rest of the pieces fall into place. Because if anything, if your best guy available ends up being better than your current good guy, you can ship that current good guy for something that fits with the best new guy. I hope you understand what the heck I'm saying, because I'm kind of rambling, but that is the purpose of this. So I'm super excited as a Bulls fan. Again, I got to do my research. Shout out to the Timberwolves for selecting for getting the first overall pick. That is a very interesting future for the Timberwolves now after making that big time trade for D'Angelo Russell. And I would guess they're taking Anthony Edwards, but again, I don't know any inside, and who knows, somebody may go up the draft boards after some virtual combines and stuff, which is one of the weirdest things, a virtual combine. Like, this is going to be the weirdest NBA draft of all time, right? It's got to be, because we don't have a combine. We didn't have a March Madness to see, oh, snap, Trey Burke might be all right. Kemba Walker got his draft stock so much higher based on his tourney run. We didn't get any of that this season. So it's kind of an L. You know, I like drafting this year. You may see your favorite team miss. I may see my favorite team miss because we have sample sizes that aren't as large as before. You know, I don't know what the virtual combine looks like, but I guarantee you it's not going to be as intense as the actual combine. And because of that, some teams will whiff. And people are making jokes at me like, Kenny, your team jumped up and it happened to be one of the worst draft classes in recent history. Whatever. Every draft class has its spots. You just got to hope that your team hits that spot. Like, even like, I think it maybe the 13th NBA, the 13th, 2013 draft is what I'm trying to say. People were saying like, this is one of the weakest drafts ever. It's just bad. And stars spring from it. Stars came out of that. You know what I'm saying? You just got to hope that your team get that star. So even if the 4th overall pick or the 1st, 2nd, 3rd, 4th, 5th overall picks maybe not get you superstars, you can pretty good players in every single draft class, and that's all you should really be thinking about. I feel bad for Knicks fans, man. I think people think that the Knicks and the Bulls are some type of rivalry because what happened in the Jordan era and the fact that we're both big market teams. Bro, I want the Knicks to be good. I do. I have family members invested in the New York Knicks. Not like with actual money, but as a Knicks fan, and they've been hurting. So I'm sorry you had to fall for me to get up. Actually, no, you didn't have to fall for me to get up. You fell for the Hornets to get up, didn't you? And shout out to the Hornets, bro. This is a prime example of, like, I guess it's a case study, right? The reason we flattened the odds in the NBA draft was to get it so teams are less likely to tank. And last year was the first year that was a possibility. And last year we saw a team with I think it was a 6.5% chance of getting the first overall pick, get the first overall pick. And that was, of course, the Pelicans with Zion Williamson. And then this year, we see two teams that decided not to tank but tried their best. Of course, the Bulls had a terrible coach, so it was like we were tanking. But the Charlotte Hornets didn't take their foot off the gas. They were trying every single night, and they ended up jumping up to top 4 as well. So, I mean, it's a very small sample size so far of just 2 singular seasons, but tanking has not necessarily been the greatest thing for those teams. Like, I guess this year with the season being short and no team really had a chance to tank per se because we still had like 15, 20 games left, and maybe those were the games you were going to see Shaq Harrison starting for the Bulls because we wanted to be bad. But I got to think, who really fell other than the Knicks? I think the Detroit Pistons fell. The Hawks and the Pistons both dropped from my calculation. Oh, bro, the Cavs. Yo, that is really tough, Cavs fan. I didn't even really notice. I didn't even notice that you guys dropped to the 5th overall pick when you were projected to have a number 2 pick. That's tough. So 3 teams actually dropped, and we saw 3 teams jump up. Either way, draft lottery is a W. But now I want to talk about the bubble. I think I mentioned it earlier about the Lakers showing up to play, which is a beautiful thing for Lakers fans. And then the Portland Trailblazers just stunk it up. And as I left that game, Dame had just hurt his finger. I'm hoping that nothing bad was happening. I hope it didn't break or anything, and it's just like, I don't know, dislocation or something. I don't know. Maybe we'll get an update about that relatively soon because it looked like he was hurt. I saw a picture of it. Like, it looked like a dislocation to me, but I'm not no expert, no doctor. Even though I did suffer a bunch of dislocations, literally in my pinky. You can anyway. So yeah, shout out to the Lakers for bouncing back. The other team I want to talk about to wrap up this one, would it wrap it up? I don't really know. Other team I really want to talk about was Philly. Man, they're down 0-2. And Brett Brown said some very weird stuff after they lost. He was like, What did he say? He was like, and it made me think like, are you dense? You know? He said like, well, the Celtics did what they're supposed to do because they're the higher seed. Now it's our turn or something like that. I don't know the exact quote. But then I'm looking at him like, you understand there's no home court advantage? That's what the higher seed is about. Now it's your turn? What does that even mean? What is that? The Celtics took care of business. Now it's our turn. It was something like that. And I'm like, bro, like it's even playing grounds, my G. You're not about to go to Philly. You don't get on a plane to go to Philly and play in front of your fans where they've been legendary. Yeah, I think they only lost 2 games the whole regular season. That's not happening. So that's the coach? Anyway, that really tripped me out when I saw that quote. I was just like, that is just the weirdest thing. And maybe I took it out of context, but like, you know. But anyway, team is just so disappointing to me. Going into this year, after the signings of Al Horford and the massive extension of Tobias Harris and everything, I was one of the people to pick Philly to be a favorite to win the Eastern Conference. In my eyes, on paper, they just had too much defense. I thought they were going to be the top defense in the league. And on paper, they had really good offense. You still have Joel Embiid, who averaged 27 points per game last season. Ben Simmons was an all-star. Al Horford's not going to average 15 points per game for you, but he could have a game here and there. Tobias Harris, you just paid him max money, so you want to get max production. Josh Richardson has been a very good NBA player for a couple of years now. So it's like, you know what? This team, I'm picking them to come out the East. And then, well, you know, things happen. But I don't even really talk about the regular season. I kind of want to talk about what I've seen in these last couple games that have really tripped me out and like kind of where Philly was compared to where they are now, man. Sam Hinkie, I know Philly fans make this joke all the time, and maybe I guess it's not really a joke because it's the truth. Sam Hinkie died for their sins, bro. Sam Hinkie had this team and the perfect place to succeed. And they had a few people come in to just mess it all up. And it's just like my boy P, my cousin Pierre, who's on my podcast with me, he said something a couple episodes ago that was just spot on. He said like Elton Brand and the whole general manager crew over there at the Philadelphia 76ers rushed the process instead of just trusting the process. And that is a fact, bro. That is a fact. It's just so many things, right? The first one being the Jimmy Butler thing. I don't know what happened in the negotiation rooms, and maybe Jimmy Butler just wanted to get out completely. But you cannot tell me that last year's roster fits so much better together with JJ. They don't have a JJ Redick close to a JJ Redick type player, and then those pin downs with JJ Redick and Joel Embiid were some of the best in the entire league. And we're talking about a player that's like a good starter and a superstar. Usually in a place like that, if we're doing a pick and roll, we're talking about a Jamal Murray, Nikola Jokic. We talking Chris Paul, Blake Griffin. But instead, we were talking about JJ Redick, Joel Embiid, one of the best in the entire league. And somehow they let that walk away. Oh, Josh Richardson could do the same thing, but even better. No, he couldn't. And there was really no evidence to show that he would be able to. It's just like, I don't understand. And I listen to JJ Redick's podcast very often. He had Joel Embiid on it the other day. And they were talking about that action. And JJ was saying, I'll never play with a big that fit well with me like that. And then Joel was like, I'll never play with a guard that would fit well with me like that. I'm like, that's saying something, JoJo. You're like 26. You're like 26, bro. You don't think you're ever going to play with a guard like JJ Redick that works like that? And he might be right. Because the people that are in charge over there giving out bags to people that do not deserve it or have not even shown that they are worth anything close to that amount of money. So Philly has like some things that they're going to do, right? We're probably not going to see a Joel trade or a Ben Simmons trade like everybody wants and what people have been saying for 2-3 years now. It's probably not what's going to happen. They're probably going to fire Brett Brown, which just makes sense. Brett Brown should probably be fired. And they're going to be like, okay, cool. Bring the same team back. We just had a bad coach. Instead of Philly, I don't think the general managers in the top offices of Philadelphia 76ers will ever look at themselves in the mirror and be like, I screwed this up. There was a list of all the process players in the NBA. Robert Covington, Dario Saric, Rashawn Holmes, Oh man. Oh man. Christian Wood. It was like a list of 11 names that like were a part of the process, but for some reason is on a different team now and thriving and thriving. And you look at that, you look at those 11 players, you'd be like, I'd rather have him over Tobias Harris. I'd rather have him over Tobias Harris. I'd rather have him over Tobias Harris. Tobias Harris is the most underwhelming player in the NBA. And I like Tobias. Watching Matisse Steibel's vlogs made me really like Tobias. And the fact that he looks like J. Cole and sounds like J. Cole is kind of scary. He basically hooping like J. Cole, too, at this point. You know what I'm saying? Because, bro, it is so underwhelming. And I understand he had a 15, 8, and 8 game, which 8 assists might be his career high because he's never been a good passer. But, like, you look at that, and maybe I've went on this ramble before, but maybe, I don't know. You look at the $180 million you gave him. You look at the $108 million you gave Al Horford. And you look at the box score and see they equated for 21 points. Or even less than that. I may be giving them more points than they actually got. And you're like, Tobias Harris's contract is going to be so hard to trade if you wanted to. Al Horford's contract is a little bit more manageable because I think the world understands what Al Horford could be if he's in the right situation. But even then, he's getting kind of old. So maybe a general manager looks at this year and be like, okay, he's now on the downward spiral of his career. So that's going to be hard to move too. And then Brett Brown keeps doing this thing where he has to play Joel Embiid and Al Horford together, and that team is dramatic. They're terrible. They're terrible when they're on the court together in the playoffs, of course. Because why do you need two big men against the team that they're going against? And that's why Matisse Thybulle started in game 2, even though he didn't play necessarily great because Jason Tatum gave him 30-plus again. They can't play together. And now I feel like a fool for thinking that they would be able to. Because, again, the beginning of the season, I had them as my favorite. So now, I mean, hindsight is 20/20, as you all noticed the saying. But I feel like an idiot for thinking that they would ever work together. Because even on paper, you know what I'm saying? I did know once they did sign him, I did feel like that was an overpay for sure, especially considering he's already 34 years old, basically, and you gave him a long contract. So I knew he was going to be an overpay. But at the end of the day, I was like, okay, an overpay is fine if you win a championship, if you're in contention. And what I hope that doesn't happen from the 76ers, that they roll over. They had a nice lead in this game against the Celtics and just like stopped it. Nobody cared. And I'm afraid that might happen for game 3. Hopefully I'm wrong because I do want to get a series out of this. Hopefully I'm wrong, but I can see a situation where like, okay, we're already down 0-2. Let's just chalk this season up and let's go home. These players have been in the bubble for a long time and haven't seen family members. I wouldn't blame them if they were like, I just want to go home at this point. You know? I just want to go home at this point. And it's just so weird that like the 2 stars on their team have like, I would say, significant holes in their roster and in their games. Like obviously Ben Simmons' refusal to shoot the ball is his biggest hole. And I honestly believe if he did shoot the ball, he would probably be like a 30% shooter, which is respectable at the point, you know, in comparison to what he is now. Obviously, 30% is not good, but respectable compared to what he is. And Joel Embiid's biggest hole, is long-term aggression. He'll be great for a quarter and a half, and then he'll stop demanding the ball. He'll stop being aggressive on the defensive side of the ball too. Like if he had a motor of like Damian Lillard, the I will not lose motor, be the best player in the league. He is one of the most talented players in the league, but he just doesn't have the motor to make him up here. If he had that motor, and that motor is not something you can teach. You can hope that somebody develops it, you know, as they get older, but you can't teach a motor. It's something that either you have or you don't. And that's something I've realized in real life too. But like, I feel like I'm a grinder, right? I'm a grinder. My dad has instilled that in my brain where like, if you're not working, you need to be working, basically. So that's why you see me upload so many videos. You see me on so many different projects because I'm a grinder, right? Everybody doesn't have the mindset. Some people can be just cool. And Joel Embiid just being cool and still have him be one of the best centers in the league. But him becoming a grinder would have him be bar none, best center in the league, one of the best ever. But I don't know if he'll ever get there. And if he doesn't get there, that's still fine. But I don't know if I want my best player on my roster to not be a grinder, you know? And also pose a question of like, could a team win a championship with a big man as their best player? Like a certified big. I don't mean like Giannis, because Giannis is a big, but I mean like a I'm not a guard type thing, because Giannis has guard tendencies, you know what I'm saying? He bring the ball up. LeBron's guard tendencies. I mean like a center that needs somebody to get him the ball. Like the last time we've actually seen that was like Tim Duncan. Tim Duncan was the last big to win a championship. Dirk, needed somebody to get him the ball. I don't know. I think I'm rambling a little too much. If you go back 2 seasons from now and redid the Philadelphia 76ers, there's so many different things you can do to have them in a better position for the now and the future. Last thing about that. They let Trey Burke go for Raul Nato. And Trey Burke can hoop. Raul Nato can't touch the floor on a team that needs playmaking. So that's all you really need to know. They waived Trey Burke for Raul Nato. It's tough see. In an update as I get here, no breakage, negative X-rays in Damian Lillard's fingers. W. That's a W. All right, that's the end of my ramble. I guess y'all still liking these, so I'm liking them too, I guess.